Hi, I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote. In order to vote, you must be registered. The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote. In order to vote, you must be registered. The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote. In order to vote, you must be registered. Hello, once again, it's time to talk about all things political, at least as it relates here to the city of Hartford. It's One Hartford, and of course, joining me once again, we've got retired Deputy Chief of Police Gerry Pleasent and Mike McGarry, longtime political figure here in the city of Hartford, and it's another week. What's happening?
Well, there were a few other individuals we would have hoped would be here. But give us another week and we should be on the right track.
Well, you know, we're here.
We're here. Hey, Gerry.
That's what matters most.
Okay.
Right.
You know, we those. I always, when I go to an event, there's a modest turnout, right? I feel good for those that are there and sorry for those that are not.
That's right.
That's it. Let me tell you something that's coming up. This campaign financing thing becomes a real joke. This law put out covering the gubernatorial election, all the other undertickets, the state reps, the state senators. It's absolutely silly, really, that we're giving huge amounts of money to candidates in the city, such as Hartford, that stand no chance to lose.
Right.
They're getting fabulous sums, you know, and they don't even have in some cases, they don't even have opponents other than a name.
Right.
There'll be some placeholders. The Republicans are putting up a couple placeholders who aren't going to raise any money, aren't going to do any campaigning. And the idea that that money goes to them or a challenger who has no chance at all, manages somehow to get the matching dollars, then has a boatload of money to no advantage to anybody. Because that candidate might not be qualified, certainly can't win. So it makes it really, really difficult.
Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's sort of like incumbency insurance.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Because you already have the power of the office and all of the
franking and all that stuff.
You got your franking. You've got you know,
name of the paper and legislation.
Right.
And
It's
lobbyists.
you're a staple in the minds of most.
Yeah.
Now here comes this opportunity to grab this big chunk of money. So it really becomes a way to finance friends and family.
Oh, sure.
That you want working for you. I mean, at the end of the day, you get an extra 30 grand, extra 15.
Yeah.
What is it? 30 and
30 and 75.
30 and 75.
Yeah.
So $75,000. I guess in theory you're supposed to be able to buy advertising, get your message out, and but you have, there's this threshold that you have to meet. 300.
The gubernatorial is a really odd one right now. At the convention, Boughton teamed up with Summers, very pretty woman, very beautiful woman, who actually got more votes in the convention than Boughton. She thinks she can win lieutenant governor. Therefore, she got off the Boughton ticket because she's raised all the money she needs to get into she raised the cash she needed to get the cash multiplied many times for the under ticket. So she's got the percentage she needs to primary and the cash. Boughton got less of a percentage, and there was still a bit of a problem with the cash. So Boughton loses her. He goes with the guy down in Shelton. His name escapes me anyway. The mayor of Shelton, who has the cash. So Boughton now has a team with the cash, but it changed teams. But they need signatures. So all over the state, that's how convoluted this is. Now we need to get signatures for the new team. Because the guy didn't get nominated, of course, the lieutenant governor, he's running for governor. Italian name, I forget that, sat down in Shelton. Anyway, so the mess of it is they're paying $2 a signature. So if you want to make a few dollars and you knew Republicans,
Right, you go out and get these
you go out and get the
signatures.
signatures, you pick up $2 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think one of our candidates for state rep is doing it right now, or state senator. Rick O'Dence
Mm-hmm.
is running against the Republican nominee, Barbara Rue, who's not going to raise money.
Mm-hmm.
Rico's running and raising money. Now Rico's out getting $2 a piece. I think he's doing it, $2 a piece if people sign for Boughton. Now Rico was supposed to go to the convention as a delegate for McKinney. He didn't go to the convention. These things are really odd, and most people say, that's politics. Well, yes, it's politics. That's the way it is. But he's throwing the mixer in with his campaign money and all the ifs, ands, and buts that I just described, ifs, ands, and buts. It makes it an odd thing. The really interesting thing is the congressional race. Now you've got Larson, who could raise any money he needed. He could raise $1 million.
Yeah, there's no shortage of access to capital for him.
He's running against Matt McKinnon Corey, owns McKinnon's pub
Okay.
downtown. And there's a window washing. Do you realize he window washes by rappelling off the sides of the building?
That's a pretty interesting thing to watch.
He can have that job. I'm glad somebody does it. It ain't going to be me. But anyway, Matt's a great guy. But Matt, to raise the amount of money to be competitive, it would be very difficult.
Yes,
Next to
extremely difficult.
What's your take on the Fonfara race?
Well, John is I think, as solid in his seat as the old Dixiecrat Democrats. For the young people out there that never heard of Dixiecrats, Dixiecrats were Democratic congressmen and senators that were in so long they had to carry them out on a stretcher. Those are Dixiecrats. Very conservative Democrats, and at least in the beginning it was to save segregation. You know, and segregation was way of life in the South.
Right.
And they kept these old characters in till the Voting Rights Act came and people got more modern. And then the Republicans in '64, Goldwater, started making inroads in the South. So that was the end of the Dixiecrats. Now the Republicrats, I guess. But, you know, the Dixiecrats are something else. They could hold up Congress. They hung in long enough. Remember the little story I told, I think, a week or two ago, how they become successful in politics? One, have lots of money. Two, have lots of friends or an ethnic background, big family. Number three, hang around long
Just
enough.
hang in there.
Hang in there, and sooner or
Hang
later
in
we'll
there.
come to you. Well, Dixiecrats did the same thing. They would be on a committee, and they hang on. Sooner or later they'd be chairman, because everybody else would be gone. And no matter how competent they were, whether they could even lift their hand anymore. You know?
Right. The chairman.
Yes, no, you know.
Yeah.
So now, Fonfara's in that position.
Do you see anyone in the mix of things standing a chance to break new ground?
No.
Where
they may break
fair
new-
is that?
Either there or in that same general arena.
Well, they may break new ground, but it doesn't translate to votes.
No.
I mean, Fonfara has a lot of seniority, and he's the bonding committee. It's very, very important. He's a big man in the bonding committee. He was energy. And there's other important committees, too. Example, is exactly like I said, like the Dixiecrats, been around long enough that he's risen to the top. No matter what his abilities, no matter what you think of him, no matter what his intelligence level, he's risen. And he to beat him would be amazing.
Yeah. I've known him for a number of years, and I have my personal view is very positive.
He was one of the original guys that helped elect Mayor Mike way back when.
That's right.
Republicans, Democrats together.
Not a bad guy.
We worked together.
The team.
The team, the
Well,
A-team. Yeah.
it would be a lot like let's say with in the second district with Eric and Sean, who are the primary. There's another person running, but actually it's two more people running. There's a Republican and then there's another Democrat.
There's no Democrat
For the primary,
For the
let's
primary?
put it that way.
Who's
Yeah,
that?
there's three running in the primary.
Who's the other one?
I can't think. I want to say Walker for some reason, but I don't know. He's He's out of. I think he's out of Windsor.
I didn't
But
know.
the main two are
Wooden and Coleman.
Wooden and Coleman. But
that in itself should be a very interesting race.
oh, it's going to be very, very interesting. However, if Sean should win, once he gets there, he has nothing other than the position, as you were talking about. So, Eric has been there for so long. He's the chairman of the Judiciary Committee.
Yeah.
He stands a chance of becoming the majority leader. So, if you take out one of these people who've been there for a long time, all you have is the new seat.
What did Coleman say? An ambitious young politician. Of course, what's wrong with that?
Right.
But that's exactly what Wooden is, and Wooden, we all know, is headed to Congress someday. He thinks he is anyway.
Yeah, that's.
Well, hey, so sooner or later, something happens to us,
Yeah.
Nobody lives to be 120.
If you don't get in the ring, you'll never win the
That's
fight.
right.
So
Yeah.
you have to at least get in the ring. You have to take your punches, and you just keep going.
But looking at the picture here, Wooden does have potential.
Well, everyone has potential.
Yes, but some
My
have-
daughter has potential. She's only 3, though.
But Stan, let's come on down to reality now. Some have more potential than others.
Well, I balance it out. I've always had some fun with. He came to visit us at the Hartford News, and the guy said, "John Annie," and he said, "Maybe I'll get behind this guy." And I said, "Let's let the other shoe fall." The other shoe was his deal he made with the Working Families Party to guarantee the idea that he would become president of council. Very wily political move, brought in probably by the governor. Because the governor likes Wooden
Yes.
for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants to keep all the votes in Hartford he can possibly get. So the governor knows a lot about what goes on in the city, everywhere. He's a real study. I know this from reports I get from around the state. Other governors said, "Well, that's my commissioner's job." Not him. He sees a pothole, on the state highway. He's on the phone. He's that kind of hands-on governor all the time. He's a driven man. I know Malloy very well.
Yeah, he was like that as mayor.
Oh yeah.
But he didn't mind jumping out of the car and directing traffic if he had to.
Yeah.
Very hands-on.
Yeah, very hands-on.
Very much involved in what's going on. Well, look what happened down in New Haven with Tony Hart. But the governor is very involved in the state.
Yeah.
Very involved.
Yeah. Well, whether or not that's going to help him, but the Current already had that editorial showing sharp elbows. If that comes across again this time, I don't know what's going to help him or not. People shy away from that for some reason. I can't predict, nor am I going to even think about how that's all going to come out. I don't think we'll know till the direction of it till September or October, how it's going to slide. Whether Foley catches on, whether it's kind of laid back, whether the sharp elbows make that much a difference, we'll see. But I think it's going to be a very interesting race. And Foley will win the nomination, Republican nomination. And of course, Malloy already has the money he needs. So it's going to be really the battle of the Titans. This time, I think Connecticut will see a lot of independent money, whereas other years we might not have. This year, because the race will be so tight, and because it has national significance, who knows? Anyway, I've got another little topic. Can I show you some things?
Let's see.
We've had great publicity for Hartford Blooms. This is West Hartford Life. Isn't that a great article?
That's very nice.
A couple-page article.
That's very
Worked out
nice.
really well. And then we had, did I show this last week? I don't know. The article in Hartford Magazine.
Hartford Magazine.
Hartford Magazine, we had a nice full page.
Nice. Very nice.
The inner workings of this is really funny. We also have a tabloid coming for the Current. Now here's how it works. You got the big fancy presses and the fancy cameras and all that. Well, here's where it starts. Simple little, there we are. What goes where?
So you got the cover?
Yeah. You just go around, you figure out what's going to be on each page.
Okay.
That's how it works. And then you get all the stuff behind it, and it all boils down to, because there's so much going on, this is the beginning of the chart. It's a big thing now. Got a big chart. All things going down, how it ties into them, the dates, It'll all be crosshatched.
Okay.
Now, part of this will be in the current tabloid, but we put out the booklet for the whole week, the 10 days, 9 days. This will be a big crosshatch in the booklet. And so much goes on all the time that people don't know about. There's, for example, few people know about Cedar Hill Cemetery.
Cedar Hill Cemetery. I mean, you could take tours of Cedar Hill
Yeah, that's
Cemetery.
right. Yeah.
Some of the
Special
famous
events.
and notable people that
Yeah.
are resting there, if you will.
Could
You've got
Mayor Mike.
your book of knowledge on these subjects, would you care to comment to give the viewers who may not know maybe some desire to take a look further?
Yeah, well, when we put this whole tour thing out, the booklet will have information about things that are open all the time anyway. And you're gluing them together. In the West End, for example, you go to the governor's residence, which you can tour anytime if you would put a tour group together. Governor's residence, the Rose Garden, which most people know about, the law school, which few people know about. It's wonderful. The bookstore in the law school. It's a wonderful bookstore. You can go and see the architecture, the statuary, the beautiful gardens, and go in the bookstore. And UConn Law School. Did you know that? You didn't know that?
I had
You
no
didn't know
idea that there was even a bookstore at UConn Law School that was like open to.
They open to the public, sure. You can
To
go
the
buy
public.
Didn't
Husky stuff. They got a full set of hats and T-shirts and this and that and the other. You know, socks and hats and all that stuff. Playing cards. I mean, everything that has UConn on it is available in the law school at UConn. Imagine that.
I had no idea. You mentioned that, and it brings to my mind. Yeah, of course, I love to eat. It brings to my mind some of the great places that have cafeterias and things that you could go into that people have no idea that you can.
The Lincoln Culinary
visit.
Institute. The Lincoln Culinary Institute, right across from Etna. Used to be the Etna Hotel.
Yep.
Oh, I've got a funny story about that. Way back when the Etna was turning it into a hotel, I happened to be at some meeting or cocktail party, and I mentioned to somebody there talking to me, and the guy standing there said, "By the way, I'm the manager of that." This guy, Mike. I said, "Fine," and I said, "Yeah, my anniversary's coming. Why don't you come and stay?" And I said, "It's only way down the block." He said, "You know, it's nice to be away. The phone won't ring. The neighbor's not going to bother you. You know, it's like being in another world only blocks away." I said, "Sure, I'll show up." So I show up, and we go to the room, and it's the suite, which is very nice, like a honeymoon suite, big thing. But they hadn't yet finished the work in the place, because over the bed there was a big sign saying, "No alcohol allowed, nor members of another sex." That didn't make much for a honeymoon. They weren't quite there. But anyway, all these little things. Lincoln Culinary Institute has a $10 brunch. All you can eat. It's the students put together this big, massive array of food. And the people that eat that food are the people that are staying there and going to school there. They have chits. And anybody else can walk in, and you pay your $10, and you got a hell of a meal. The biggest meal in town you can get for $10.
That's not bad. You go to the legislative office building and eat.
Yeah, that's pretty good. The prices are modest. Not high, not low, modest. Pretty good.
There's the
You see lobbyists all over the place.
there. Oh,
You walk in, "Hey, hiya, Pat Sullivan," you know,
Yeah.
hey, you know, so like,
that's the then actually sometimes these places are really interesting to go to. The Department of Transportation has a pretty neat little cafeteria.
I've never been there.
You go down there because they've got the little coffee shop down there, and the grill is going, and where else can you go? You get a nice flipped hamburger type thing going. So
Have you ever been in a DEP store?
never.
All right. Okay, everybody, pay attention, pay attention. Here's a good one. You go down Elm Street, and they got that Rococo building with the two statues out in front. The really fancy building with two statues. You go in, you got to show your ID, da-da-da-da. You show your ID. They let you go down to the basement. And there is the Department of Environmental Protection store with tremendous selection of stuff. Maps and books and pamphlets and doodads and what's-a-dingers, all to do somewhat with the environment. The Blue Trails, the Blue Trail system?
Yes.
All through Connecticut, a Blue Trail system. Well, now it's two books, East and West. I guess, East and West, maybe North and South. Two big, fat books that you buy, and they have all the blue trails in them, with the nice fold-out maps and the whole bit. But they have trails everywhere now. All these towns, and they all have booklets about them, and you can buy whatever available for sale. You can buy them there. DEP store for your kids for Christmas. That's what as they get a little older. Go to the DEP store because they have books about animals and reptiles in the state, whatever, state
Wow.
praying mantis, I guess. whatever it is.
I had no idea that was down there. But your Hartford Blooms is getting quite the bang. Now, you were talking a little bit earlier about NPR.
Yeah, well, we'd be working with NPR and WTAC AM.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have shows on both of those.
Okay.
Pretty good. And we'll be trying to go on Channel 3, one of those shows in the middle of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and all that. But, it's very complicated. I got to make a living, and I've got to take care of my wife, and take care of my gardens. In fact, my fingers aren't quite as clean as I'd like them today. So a little. I was out working in the garden this morning.
All right, so you were I was now that Radio Shack. It's like a heartbreak even mentioning the word because of course Radio Shack is nothing like it once was. Where you could go into Radio Shack, you could buy a chemistry set, you could buy electronic stuff, you could make a radio, you could all the things you needed to do stuff was at Radio Shack. So now that there's no more Radio Shack, I go to Home Depot.
What happened to Radio Shack? West Hartford out of business?
Well, I mean, it's there, but it's like going to, you buy radio, like a Sony radio or stuff like that. The Radio Shack used to have Tandy. When Tandy was
Yes.
Radio Shack, and
Yeah.
they made they made everything.
Yeah.
So you could go in there, you get a little crystal AM radio set, you
Okay.
put it together.
Yeah.
And I used to do all that kind of stuff. But so I go to Home Depot now to replace my Radio Shack fix because you can walk around there and just knowing that everything you need to build a house is in there, even though you don't have the skill set to go build a house. But I was at Radio Shack yesterday shopping with my daughter. And after that long story, I can't remember why I brought that up. I'm getting old, Gerry.
So, Jerry, what have you been up to lately? You're looking pretty good today. What have you been up to lately? You're looking good today.
I'm just recovering from back surgery that was successful.
Oh, good.
You had fusion.
Yeah, well, I had a couple of things, but one has to take care of oneself, and sometimes it necessitates a little bit of research. And where do you go for the magic formula?
Well, that's true. You're pretty detail oriented. You're not one of those detail people that detail a thing to the point where nothing gets done, though.
No, I
You-
sort of ferreted out,
And then you make the move.
Yeah. You said something that I want to comment on
Yeah.
about Radio Shack. Radio Shack is not Radio Shack. Home Depot. They're offering a course on how to prepare for the storms, and that's something that I think every homeowner, and even if you're not a homeowner or a property owner, should take a look at what it entails.
Well, Home Depot actually has a lot of things going on. They have workshops
Look, I like the old-fashioned hardware store still.
in the morning.
I like going to Fowles. I like going to one in upstate New York. By the way, our cottage upstate New York, the water finally works. As I got, I know this will have a nice summer up there. Anyway, I got a place up near Saratoga. Anyhow, the you go to the little places like we have a Tanner's Lumber, it's called. You walk in; those guys are local. They've been there a long time. They know exactly what you need for the conditions. Fowles the same way. You go into Fowles, you need a little screw, little 13-cent screw. They will wait on you. They'll get that screw and take care of you. Yeah, the Home Depot serves a purpose, but it ain't like the old-fashioned hardware store.
I
Park
agree.
Street Hardware, same
But
thing.
I was just getting ready to say about Parks. You walk in there, can we help you? I'm looking for, and they take you right over. Nothing beats an old-fashioned hardware store, which brings me back to why I brought that up, which was the gardening.
Oh.
I was in Radio Shack with my daughter. Excuse me, Home Depot with my daughter, and we're just strolling around, killing about an hour, and get over to the gardening section, and it just blows my mind how people are beyond into gardening.
Oh,
I mean, these
yeah,
people
see?
they
Gee.
take this as seriously as I guess I do my television stuff.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're looking at the different soil, and there's all kinds of ways to enrich soil. I mean, these people were very, very serious
Look
about
at the
this.
investment in these.
I see this, and we drive. My wife and I
Yeah.
drive around the city, and West Hartford and Hartford, and look at all of the gardens and
I
things.
dare say that the West End of Hartford is even preferable garden, even more spectacular gardens than West Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
You have Prospect, Scarborough, Oxford.
Yep.
Those streets. Those gardens, front and rear, are really spectacular.
Now,
The
are they
Secretary's-
on the tour?
Yes. Oh, yeah. You go on a tour. It's going to be wonderful. In front of, I guess, about 50 homes will be plaques explaining the homes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the gardens are obvious because they're around them. Then there'll be backyard gardens. Ashley Street, the same thing. You walk up Ashley Street, there'll be a plaque explaining the various houses, the history. Then there'll be backyard and front yard gardens. That's the way it goes. I mean, much of this is there anyway. People just don't know about it. Columbia Street, the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So many streets in town, you'll just be able to walk down the street and see the front gardens and get invited into the backyard.
Okay, so it's front yard, backyard garden, history of the house, but not a tour of the house.
There'll be a couple house tours thrown in.
Okay.
They're selling houses on Ashley Street. They're selling
Okay.
2 houses there. They'll walk people through those.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mix of everything. It's really a spectacular thing. By the way, I was down in Kensington, to Sunny Borders, they call it, done by Pierre, the guy who used to run Comstock Ferry.
Mm-hmm.
What a spectacular, Bennecump's his name, Pierre Bennecump. What a spectacular thing. We picked up sweet potatoes, a lot of sweet potatoes. One sweet potato will cover a full yard of coverage with variegated sweet potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
They're light yellow, yellowish green, they're dark purple, and they're variegated. Put the 3 together, and you've got a spectacular thing for very little cost. I've known a lot of this, but I'm learning more every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing projects all over town. We just, Sunday morning, did the Farmington and Laurel corner. Next Sunday, we're doing the entrance to Goodwin Park.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be pots and flowers at the entrance of Signey Park. We're going to do some McKinney Park, some flower pots up there. Other ones are popping up, Enfield Street popping up. We've started, the idea of this is to start people with pride in their community, get involved. See, like the mayor said, quote of the mayor, which was a very good one. He said, you might not be able to afford to paint the house. You might not be able to afford to repair the porch, other minor repairs. But for just a few dollars, you can make your front yard look really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And you improve the look of the whole street
Mm-hmm.
just by doing a few flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not expensive. You go to the regional market. You ever been to the regional market?
I've never
Never-
been to the regional market, and I understand there's a great place to eat down there.
Well, yeah, a good restaurant.
Yeah.
You get up early in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock, and
Mhm.
you go over there. And the trick is, everybody, here's the trick. When you go in there, you can park on the outskirts. But if you slowly drive all the way into it, somebody would be pulling out. And you could park where you don't have to walk a mile with two
Mm-hmm.
48 packs.
Okay.
And I've seen people with little wagons.
Mm-hmm.
People go there with wagons. And the wagons are loaded up with stuff, and they load
Mhm.
them in their car. You would generally get, when you go to regional market, about half of the retail price. And then if you go to a regular retail outlet, and they've got to get a good markup, or they're not in business.
Mm-hmm.
But they sell it to you what they sell it to them for. Them, they make a little less for
Mhm.
the retailer. But you get a flat for $10, $12. That flat would cost $19 in a regular place.
Okay,
Plus
and
you
the
get
in the
the
regional market has everything that you would get, basically
Much more than you'd get.
produce.
Yeah, but that's 2 arms. One is the produce part,
Okay.
where you can buy a bag of apples, 20 cucumbers, whatever you want, peaches, plums,
Get some pecans and put it in with your sweet potatoes.
Pecans, the sweet potatoes. Really? You chop them up and cook them?
Try it. Try it.
How do you do it, Jerry? You chop them up?
But when you get to the market, ask for some literature on it.
Oh, on pecans. Pecans and sweet potatoes.
That sounds like a good pie. Sweet
It's
pecan sweet potato pie.
you after you cook the sweet potato, you open it up, and you put the pecans or other types
sprinkle
of nuts in there. It's very delicious.
And
Delicious.
some
And it makes-
cinnamon and butter.
Of course. Not ordinary butter.
On zero now. Does that mean we're over?
Yeah, our time is up. Butter, we leave you with this profound point. Butter makes it better. All right, we'll see you next time.
Okay.
The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote.